Welcome back. Our new CNN ORC national poll shows Hillary Clinton up by 5 points heading into the final 2 weeks. That's a narrower gap than some other national polls, but 5 points still pretty big for Secretary Clinton. The Obama-Romney race 4 years ago was 1 point on this day, a 1 point lead for the president. Want to take a look deep inside the poll for some interesting nuggets to keep an eye on as we head into the final 2 weeks. Number one, look at the Midwest. Donald Trump's path to the presidency, I'll show you this more in a bit, was through the Midwest, through the Rust Belt states. But Hillary Clinton leads by 7 points right now in the Midwest. A big gain for her in places that matter come Electoral College. Let's take it out west as well. Out west, Donald Trump needs to do better in the West. California influences this a bit, but still an 11-point lead for Hillary Clinton in the western states. I'll show you again in a second why that matters more. If you're Donald Trump, if there's anything encouraging in our poll, it's that you're running ahead among independents, a key swing group in the electorate. Donald Trump leading 45 to 41. But before he celebrates, Mitt Romney won this constituency by 5 points over Barack Obama among independents 4 years ago. And, of course, Mitt Romney lost the election. So that margin for Donald Trump, while it's one positive in our poll, probably not enough. Let's take a look at one other data point here. We come down to Florida. This one here is a little stunning. Hillary Clinton leading among voters age 65 and older, by 5 points, 50% to 45%. Among the most reliable voters in the country, Mitt Romney won those over age 65 by 12 points 4 years ago. Hillary Clinton leading Donald Trump. If that number holds up come Election Day, she will win the presidency. Now let's flip over to the map that matters most, show you what I meant by that. Hillary Clinton leading, as I said, in the Midwest. That's Donald Trump's most viable path to the presidency. She has him blocked right now. Hillary Clinton leading out west. Again, big influence for California, but Nevada, Arizona, and Utah are still in play. Hillary Clinton doing very well out in the Mountain West in the West, an area Donald Trump needs to do better if he's going to get the White House. And among older voters, Florida not the only state, but if Hillary Clinton is running ahead among voters over 65, well, that makes Florida look a lot better. So Hillary Clinton knows she has the advantage. Heading into the final 2 weeks, a brand new ad released just today in battleground states including Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Iowa, Nevada. Those are the states Hillary Clinton thinks matters most. Here's a closing message.
When someone makes the comment that they know more about the Islamic State or ISIL than do the generals, it implies a complete ignorance of the reality. But I believe Secretary Clinton really understands the threat that the Islamic State poses to the United States and to the American people. And I believe she understands how to wield American power to ultimately defeat this threat and to keep us safe.
So help me on this one. She knows she has the advantage, a pretty commanding advantage when you go state by state through the Electoral College. You're coming into the close. We have 2 weeks. Maybe she'll shift back. But General Allen there, a distinguished service, not criticized, but an ISIS keep you safe. Donald Trump's not a commander-in-chief, not an economy ad. Why?
I think it's, from what I've seen, and clearly they haven't completely honed it yet, I think it's a pretty weak closing argument. It's kind of, we're reverting back to some of the trouble she had with messaging in the primaries. She has, rocketed ahead to this commanding lead in some of these battleground states on the
by disqualifying him.
Right. We have still not seen her make a closing affirmative argument for herself that really gets into the texture of what her presidency would be. And you're totally right about the economy. The other thing I think that's really important that we're not hearing is we are not hearing what we heard at the end of the primary season, which was an appeal to the historic nature of her presidency. Have you heard any real fulsome statement by her about the fact that she might be the first woman president in the 240-year history of the republic?
Well, first, let's caveat this by saying that this is not the closing argument just yet. I think there's going to be another wave of ads, and this is kind of reinforcing the overarching narrative that they've tried to push from the beginning, which is on temperament. And if you pull back the numbers, and all of the polls show that this has been a winning argument. They haven't even had to really have an argument based on issues. It's been all about, is she crooked, or is he going to, press the button and cause a mushroom cloud?
So if it ain't broke, don't fix it under disqualification. But you're not getting to, a lot of times if you're well ahead in the race, you try to close by getting to your governing agenda to try to claim a mandate when it's over.
I think they are looking at the last they've seen everything else coming their way. I think they're looking at the last sticky piece of this, which is the sense that Donald Trump is strong, Donald Trump is resolute, that she is not. And so I think they are looking to sort of loosen the last bit of the constituency that they need to get on their side.
And they have a bunch of ads out, right? I mean, they just released an ad that's targeted at African Americans. They have the Khan ad. They have the Obamas out there. In some ways, I mean, those are ads. I mean, they're certainly getting press in the local newspapers and the local television stations there. And so far, so good in terms of where they are in this race. And I do think that ad, again, it's about some of those Republicans and those moderate Republicans who have uncertainties about Donald Trump, uncertainties particular in foreign policy. And so she's honing in, I think, on
And I
that
think
one.
we're getting a preview actually in her stump speech, which I've been watching pretty closely, of what we're going to see possibly in those closing round of ads, which is this awkward dance that she's doing right now between beginning her stump speeches by pounding those down ballot Republicans and then immediately pivoting to, but I'm a unifying figure and you Republicans have a home with me and let's all come together as Americans and reject this hatred and bitterness, which is literally what she's doing in these speeches.
Look, I've been watching her do this since 2008, really since 2005 on her reelect. I just think she's got a real problem making an affirmative case for herself, and she's got a ton of different messaging. If you're going to look at one takeaway from the WikiLeaks, the Podesta emails, a lot of it has to do with them struggling mightily internally to take this incredible array of stuff and jam it into some sort of appealing message. When you go out there and talk to voters, you find that the one thing that keeps people from closing the deal is their disdain and lack of trust for her. And I think as we close here, she's got to make a much more affirmative argument.
And Donald Trump, in our national poll, shows Donald Trump on the one issue he still leads is the economy. Narrow lead, only 4 points, but he still leads on the economy because she hasn't made that affirmative case. But again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Winning the election, I'm not sure about when you get to governing.